Today, our story begins at the National Art Gallery in France, a fabulous collection of paintings dating back many hundreds of years and including thousands of old masters. So valuable are these pictures that every room in the gallery is watched by not one, but two guards. Guards whose loyalty is unquestionable. Guards who are honest, faithful, and,
How about True Blue?
But you're not... Shh. But you're not guards. You're Boris Badenov and Natasha Fatal.
Right, darling.
Well, what are you doing here?
Just waiting for you to introduce us. Come on, Natasha.
And in less time than it takes to tell, the two crooks had cut 10 old masters from their frames. Natasha quickly rolled them around Boris just as the door opened and the museum director walked in.
Ah, bonjour, Pierre, Marcel.
Bonjour, darling.
Putting on a little weight, aren't you, Pierre?
Not for long.
Where are you going?
It's time for crepe Suzette break.
Crepe Suzette break?
And I never like to keep Suzette waiting. Come on, Marcel.
And the two villains dashed out just as the director said.
Sacre bleu, mille tonnerre, and other mild French expressions. Stop them!
But he was a little too late. The two villains were already dashing through the alleys of Paris. However, the French police were not to be caught napping. I said the French police were not to be caught napping.
Huh? Oh, oui, oui. Calling all gendarmes. Calling all gendarmes. Bonsoir, monsieur.
And so, within moments, the whole area was surrounded by police.
Boris, if they find the paintings on us, we are kaput. How do we hide them?
Don't worry, Natasha.
Boris, you got fiendish plan?
When don't I got fiendish plan? Look.
Sure enough, the wily thief had wrapped the paintings in a package ready for mailing. And as his partner watched, he dropped it in the nearest pillbox.
Now how do we make our escape?
It's a snap.
And sure enough, as dozens of French gendarmes watched wide-eyed, an odd-looking couple strolled down the Rue de la Paix.
L'homme de mes tantes, Henri, look there.
He's nothing to average American tourists.
Are you sure?
Eh bien, sure. Look, he's throwing away dollar bills.
Oui, he must be an American.
Besides, he obviously doesn't have the painting.
And so the two villains strolled right through the police cordon. But as the gendarmes looked more closely at the bills...
Hey, Henri.
Oui?
This is the first picture I ever see of Washington with a mustache.
No wonder he shaved it off. He looks terrible.
Could he be a counterfeit?
Hey, watch what you say about George Washington. You want to break up NATO?
Nevermore, this dollar is, how you say, the phony baloney.
And the police once again took up the chase, but too late. For a short time later, Boris and Natasha were in a jet plane heading for,
Yes, where are we headed, Boris?
To pick up the package we mailed.
Where did you address it, darling?
Think, Natasha. Who could you send $1 million package to hit the dumb enough to give it back?
You don't mean...
Yes, I do.
Yes, that package, which arrived at its destination a few days later, was addressed to...
Bullwinkle Moose, Frostbite Falls, Minnesota.
That's me, all righty.
You're expecting a parcel from Paris, France?
Of course not. This is a family show.
Oh, boy. Sign here.
Did you send away for anything, Bullwinkle?
Just some wallpaper samples, Rock.
Wallpaper sample?
Yeah, I've been thinking of doing over the chicken coop.
The chicken coop. Well, it looks as if Bullwinkle may have the most valuable chicken coop on Earth.
You bet. These Buff Orpingtons don't come cheap, you know.
But remember, Boris and Natasha are on their way to get the painting back, and they'll let nothing stand in their way.
Especially nothing with antlers.
Oh, be sure to see our next episode, Transatlantic Chicken, or Hens Across the Sea.
And now it's time...
Time for that jolly juggler, Bullwinkle.
Oh, dear.
3 at once. 1, 2,
And now here's a feature you're sure to like.
3.
Ah, yes, Prince Hyacinth and the Dear Little Princess. Just about the longest title we've had yet. At any rate, in the kingdom of Normandy, located near 3rd and La Brea, there lived a king named Dumb the 73rd. You see, that's how kingdoms get their names, from a king named Dumb. Funny?
Oh, why am I laughing? I'm miserable.
Yes, King Dumb was in love with a beautiful queen.
Beautiful, but mixed up. You know what I mean?
Yes, the queen was mixed up, for she was under an enchantment.
And I feel terrible, too.
How's it going, sweetie?
Well, I'd feel fine if I could just get out from under this enchantment.
Yeah.
It keeps hanging on.
Yeah, I know. Enchantment. Cry, aye. That stuff went out with a hula hoop. Next thing, she'll be telling me she sees fairies, like that one. Hey, this is ridiculous.
Ridiculous? If it wasn't for our business agent, I'd turn you into a frog.
Your business agent?
Certainly. International Fairies Guild Local 42.
Oh, of course.
But my call sheet says I'm supposed to help you out instead. So, what's to help?
Well, it's the Queen, really. She thinks she's under some sort of enchantment. Now, did you ever...
She got a cat? A cat. Has she got a cat?
Oh, yeah, it's about so big.
Step on its tail.
Step on its tail?
You want to break the enchantment?
Oh, yeah.
So stomp already. Sign here, please.
What's this?
It's your receipt. That'll be $32.50, please.
I'll just sign for it.
Fairy number 53, mission completed, over.
Fairy 53, this is Red Fox Leader. Go to 3rd and Spring. Woman with a hair problem. Ask for Rapunzel. Over and out.
Roger.
Step on the cat's tail. Oh, how are you, dear?
Enchanted.
Gargling doesn't help, huh?
No gargling, aspirins, mustard plasters, nothing.
Maybe if I stepped on your cat's tail.
Are you out of your mind?
I didn't think it was a good idea.
But as King Dum turned to go...
Is this where I get changed into a frog?
Worse than that, fella. Let me look. You will marry the queen and have a son with a nose like a cassava melon. And until he says to the world, I got a nose like a cassava melon, he'll have a nose like a cassava melon. You got that?
Oh, it seems a little hard.
But if anybody tells him the magic words ahead of time, they shall perish, like instantly. Understand?
Is it over? Am I a frog?
I don't think so, dear.
No, he wasn't. And what's more, the queen was no longer under her enchantment. And so the king married the queen, and they lived happily ever after until their first son was born, at which time the king turned into a frog and was never heard from again.
You know, I sort of expected this all along.
All hail Prince Dum the 74th!
Not Dum, Hyacinth. Prince Hyacinth the First.
But your majesty...
He's just like a sweet little hyacinth with his 2 little eyes and his sweet little mouth and his sweet little butt and... this is a nose.
Looks more like a cassava melon.
Silence! No one shall make fun of my little hyacinth.
And so the queen declared that everybody in the kingdom should wear a false nose just as big as the princess. And they did. All went smoothly until one day...
Mother, dear, I'll be 35 years old tomorrow.
Yes, dear.
And you know, I've never had a girlfriend.
Tomorrow, Hyacinth, you shall have the pick of every girl in the kingdom.
And so the next day, every girl in the kingdom was lined up outside the castle wall, all wearing their false noses. All except one.
How dare you? Where is your false nose?
Oh, good gracious, I must have forgotten to put it on.
False nose?
I'll have your pretty head for this.
False nose, Mother?
Oh, it's nothing. Move along, you freak.
But I find her attractive.
With a nose like that?
Oh, come, Mother. There's room for all of us in the world. Big noses, small noses. Kiss me, dear little princess.
But no matter how the prince tried to kiss her, his nose was in the way.
Oh, silly prince, why didn't you take it off?
Take it off? Witty. Very well, my pet. How do I take it off?
Like this!
Mother! You too? Oh, I've been living in a big-nosed fool's paradise.
But, Your Highness, you said there's room for all kinds of noses. Small, big.
Big? My nose is incredible.
Oh, yeah, but you're much more than just a nose.
Let's face it, dear little princess. I've got a nose like a cassava melon.
Okay, move over. What did you say?
I've got a nose like a cassava melon.
All right, sign here, please. Thank you. Kazam!
I beg your pardon?
I said kazam. That ends the curse.
But...
Oh, forevermore, I forgot the wand. So rushed lately, I don't know if I'm fading in or fading out. Kazam!
And so handsome Prince Hyacinth and dear little princess were married and
Fairy
lived...
number 53 in service. Go ahead.
Fairy 53, go to 7th and Main. A happy ending isn't working out. Seems the frog wasn't really an enchanted prince after all. Over.
Fairy 53, Roger, over and out.
Last time, you remember, Boris and Natasha posed as guards in a French National Art Gallery and swiped 10 old masters, each worth a fortune. Of course, the museum director was very upset. He summoned the head security officer.
They took the paintings right from under your nose.
Oui, it's a pretty big nose.
Well, you deserve a little something for this episode.
I do?
Which of these paintings do you like?
Can I have the one of the clown?
Of course you can.
What happened, Chief?
It's obvious. I was framed.
Meanwhile, Boris and Natasha had dropped the paintings into a mailbox and sauntered past the police, disguised as American tourists.
I say arrest them anyway, Henri.
Not Aristide, you never arrest a tourist.
Even if they steal?
Aristide, look at the prices in the store window.
They are ridiculous.
Of course. So no matter how much a tourist steals, we're bound to get it back before he leaves.
Unfortunately, Boris and Natasha weren't crooked tourists, just crooked. And so a short time later, they were zooming over the ocean to intercept their precious package of purloined painting.
Where do we catch up with it, Boris?
Where else? Frostbite Falls, Minnesota.
Little did they know that their package had already arrived and been delivered to Bullwinkle Moose, who mistook the paintings for wallpaper samples.
I'm thinking of doing over the chicken coop. How do you like this pattern, Rock?
The Mona Lisa.
Can't say I care for that pattern. She's got kind of a sneaky smile.
Bullwinkle, these aren't wallpaper samples. Somebody sent you a mess of beautiful pictures.
Drawn by hand?
Of course not. If they were original, they'd be worth $1 million. They're just reproductions.
What good are they? They got no calendars attached to them.
Bullwinkle.
They'll do to keep the drafts out of the chicken coop.
And Bullwinkle set to work, nailing the paintings to the walls of the chicken coop.
There you are, girls, your own windproof art gallery.
But in the next few days, Rocky had bad news to report.
Look at this egg chart, Bullwinkle. Those hens just aren't laying like they used to.
It's not their fault, Rocky. It's those pictures of the Laughing Clavicle and Mona Lisa and all.
What have they got to do with it?
Well, can you do your best work with somebody looking over your shoulder all the time?
Well, maybe you're right.
I better do something about it.
Such as?
I'll whitewash the whole place, pictures and all. Oh, you're welcome, I'm sure.
And as Bullwinkle set off to find the whitewash brush, a long black car was pulling up in front of their little house.
Ooh, anybody home?
Hokey Smoke, who are you?
Allow me to introduce myself. Cerulean Blue, world's greatest art collector. And this is my secretary, Rose Madder.
Those are sure arty names, all right.
We pick nothing but the best.
Hey, haven't we met before?
You've probably seen my portrait in several galleries.
Art galleries, Boris?
Rogues galleries, Natasha.
Well, what are you doing here?
Just one of our little collecting trips, darling.
You wouldn't by chance have any old pictures around that you'd like to sell?
We pay top prices.
Up to $3.98 a piece.
$3.98?
Up to $3.98 a piece. How about that?
Come on, Mr. Blue. We may have something here for you.
And the unsuspecting Rocky led the disguised villains to the chicken coop, just in time to see Bullwinkle sloshing whitewash over the last old master.
You whitewashed every square inch of canvas.
Yeah, most of the round inches, too.
Ooh.
He fainted.
What's the matter? He never been in a warm chicken coop before?
Mr. Blue was going to buy those old pictures you painted over.
For how much?
$3.98 a piece.
Up to $3.98 a piece.
Wowee! Well, you wait a second. I'll scrape this whitewash stuff off with the steel wool, and then we'll...
No.
Here he goes again.
But in a little while, Boris was his old evil self again.
Tell me, Mr. Blue, why don't you want Bullwinkle to scrape off the whitewash?
Because it'll ruin the valuable painting.
What valuable painting?
Uh-oh, think fast, darling.
This valuable painting.
You mean my whitewash job?
Whitewash my foot.
Okay, if you insist.
No, wait, Bullwinkle. He means he thinks this is a good painting.
I know it's a masterpiece. I'll buy it.
Very smart, Boris.
You think you're dealing with kids or something?
I don't know. How much you offer him?
I'll go top dollar, $3.98.
Wait a minute.
Don't interrupt. What were you going to say?
I was going to say
Now, wait. If the painting's worth anything at all, it's got to be worth more than $3.98.
Okay, you got me over a barrel. Make it an even $4.
Well, I think we ought to sleep on it, Bullwinkle.
And so our heroes took the whitewash masterpieces and retired to their small cottage, while Boris and Natasha fumed in the car outside.
What you doing, Boris?
You heard the man? I'm fuming.
That's fuming?
You got a better idea how to fume?
Who you calling, Rock?
I'm calling the art museums. They'll tell us if you're a great painter or not.
Art Museum, good afternoon.
Say, can you come out and look at a painting?
Why should I? I've hundreds to look at right here.
Yeah, but we think we got a brand new old master here in Frostbite Falls.
True.
Well, that's a little different. I'll be right out. And, one word of caution.
Yeah?
Let's keep this thing a secret, shall we? Just between us art lovers.
Sure.
Well, it was obvious the museum director didn't know the Frostbite Falls phone system, for everybody in town was listening in on the party line, including Boris Badenov.
And I always listen to party line.
How come?
The party line is my country's answer to the thinking man's filter.
Well, it looks as if Boris's plan has gone askew.
Gesundheit.
We'll find out more in Bullwinkle Busts a Brush or The Cleft Palate.
Time now for the biggest thinker of them all, Mr. Know-It-All.
Hello, America! Today's mental fire drill comes under the heading of How to be a Cowpuncher without getting hit back. The simplest way of learning how to punch cows is to join a cattle drive. The person who does the hiring is called a five-man, which is a four-man who got promoted.
You with the built-in chaps. It's beddy by time for cattle. You stand guard. You got gun?
Sure, right here.
Tell me, why you got hot water bottle on gun?
It's a sick shooter.
Not feeling good, huh? Does it shoot?
Does it shoot?
Now look what you done. Cattle are stampeding.
Never fear, I shall stop them.
How do you stop 5,000 fear-crazed beasts?
By holding up 5 fear-crazed fingers and saying, whoa!
That's very good. How do you get them started again?
Oh, by saying, giddy up. After serving his apprenticeship, the full-fledged cowboy now puts his knowledge to use by joining a rodeo, or radio, they're both correct.
And the winner of the Bronco-busting event is Mr. Know-It-All.
Golly, Mr. Know-It-All, you sure can ride.
Yeah, you're only supposed to stay on 10 seconds. I've been on this critter 10 hours.
How do you manage to stay on him so long?
Very simple. I got a pocket full of dimes.
Don't play with the television set, Sherman. It's bust.
No, it isn't, Mr. Peabody. A spy fixed it this morning.
A spy?
Well, he snuck in the back door and he was all dressed in black.
Well, that doesn't mean he's a spy.
Well, he gave us Secret Service, didn't he?
Oh, dear. I had no alternative but to make Sherman stand in a corner, the one occupied by the Wayback Machine.
Where to, Mr. Peabody?
Well, as long as we're on the subject of spies, let us meet the queen of them all, the legendary Mata Hari. Sherman set the Wayback Machine for Newcastle, England, in the early days of the First World War. We arrived just as one of the largest ships of its day was about to be launched.
Which one of the people on the launching platform is Mata Hari, Mr. Peabody?
From here, it's hard to tell. She undoubtedly is wearing a clever disguise. It was then I spotted a waiter going up the steps, carrying a bottle of champagne with which the ship was to be christened. That, Sherman, is Mata Hari.
How can you tell?
When a waiter wears high heels, something is afoot.
In the name of His Majesty, I hereby christen this ship.
Don't swing that bottle, Admiral.
Why not?
She blew it up.
We reported the incident to the Counterintelligence Department of Scotland Yard.
Well, if Mata Hari is in England, it means the war effort is in serious jeopardy. Wonder what she'll do next.
Probably steal some secret plans.
I doubt that. We have a steel-proof steel safe here, but we shall check anyway. Oh, dear, what did I do with the combination?
The combination is 6 left, 32 right, back to 8, around once to 0, and right to 3.
Gad, sir, how do you know the combination?
I don't really. It happens to be the phone number of my aunt in Peoria. The heavy door swung open, revealing an empty safe.
Good, she didn't take a thing.
What do you mean, Inspector?
Well, the safe is just a blind. I keep the secret plans in my pants pocket.
We suddenly realized his pockets were gone, along with his pants.
That means Mata Hari got away with the plans.
Yes, and without them, England is lost.
In a desperate attempt to overtake her before she could leave the country, we dashed for the nearest optometrist.
Optometrist? What makes you think she'll be there?
Quite obvious, Sherman. All spies need spy glasses. Suddenly before us loomed the shop owned by a Dr. Focals. Rushing inside, we spotted Mata Hari standing by Focals.
No use making a spectacle of yourself, Mata Hari. We've got the drop on you.
Actually, she had the drop on us, for a trapdoor sprang open and Mata Hari disappeared.
Quick! She'll head for the airport now.
We arrived just as Mata Hari took off in an old de Havilland. We were quick to follow in a new de Havilland.
I didn't know you could fly, Mr. Peabody.
I have a little bird dog in me, Sherman. By the time we were halfway across the channel, we were practically on Mata Hari's tail.
Open fire, Inspector!
Right, sir.
Unfortunately, the inspector misinterpreted Sherman's command. To him, open fire meant to open the cockpit and build a fire. We went down in flames. which was the name of a small French town right near the German lines. We disembarked from our burning plane and took stock of our situation. This Sherman is what is known as no man's land. Years ago, it was a lush forest.
But the trees are gone.
That's right, Sherman. This is the Argonne Forest.
You should have saved that one for the ending, Mr. Peabody.
Oh, I have one that's worse than that, Sherman. Right now, our problem is to outwit Mata Hari before she can deliver the secret plans to the enemy.
We shall never catch her now.
We shall not only catch her, we shall pass her. Unmindful of the shrapnel, we ran between the falling bombs and reached the enemy trench a good 45 3/10 seconds ahead of Mata.
Oh, we're in trouble, Mr. Peabody. Look at all the bayonets.
And that gave me an idea. I picked up a string of hot dogs lying in a nearby shell hole and instructed Sherman and the inspector to follow my example. We placed a hot dog at the end of each bayonet. Naturally, the soldiers assumed they were at a weenie bake, and being German, rushed off to get some sauerkraut.
Now what, Mr. Peabody?
Quick, into these uniforms! When Mata Hari got there, she took us for German officers and promptly handed over the secret plans. I, in turn, promptly handed the plans and Miss Hari over to the inspector.
We did it, Mr. Peabody.
Yes, don't we always?
By the way, Mr. Peabody, what was in the secret plans?
Here they are, Sherman. Take a look for yourself.
Oh, my gosh, it's just a picture of a giant blimp.
That giant blimp, Sherman, was to be England's last resort. In the event they were losing the war, the entire British population was to climb into that blimp and fly to safety.
I never heard of that before.
Well, of course you have. Where do you think we got the phrase, one nation indirigible?
Oh, no.
I warned you, Sherman.
Sir and madam and all you kids out there.
Get on with it, blabbermouth.
All right. Well, through a quirk of fate, Bullwinkle painted a coat of whitewash over 10 stolen art masterpieces, and now Boris is secretly trying to buy them back.
What I can't understand is why he thinks these are worth anything.
Oh, I don't know, Rock. They do have a kind of dash to them.
They're just whitewash.
But notice how I left this little dark spot to kind of catch the eye.
Bullwinkle, that's a fly.
Oh, looks almost real, doesn't it?
Well, we'll know whether they're valuable in a little while now.
How come?
I sent for some art experts.
Sure enough, in just a few minutes, a caravan of cars began to pour into Frostbite Falls, bearing the cream of the nation's art connoisseurs, including the Dean of Art Critics, Price McVinson.
Very well. Where are these alleged paintings?
Oh, get them for you.
Boris, suppose those art critics find out what's under that whitewash.
Maybe I better raise my last offer.
Well, here they are, Mr.
My enemies call me Mr. McVincent.
What do your friends call you?
What friends?
Yeah, see what you mean.
Well, what do you think of this one?
This is absolutely and without a doubt the most dreadful, nauseating, ugly.
I'll pay $10,000 for it.
The most ugly frame I can imagine for such an exquisite picture.
You think it's exquisite?
My dear boy, any painting worth $10,000 is exquisite.
I say, Ernest, who's the chap who bid 10,000?
Speaks with an accent, probably from the Middle East.
You mean he may be representing King,
Well, the king just can't go on collecting dancing girls. There's a bag limit, you know.
Well, if it's worth 10,000 to him, it's worth 15,000 to me. I bet 15,000.
Yeah, but wait a minute. These are just whitewash.
The medium doesn't matter, short and furry. It's the soul of the artist. What do you call this, my good man?
Moose.
Moose?
I call this one White Cow Eating Marshmallows in Snowstorm.
It fairly sings, doesn't it?
Boris, they are going crazy. 15,000 for a coat of whitewash.
You know something? It is kind of pretty at that, Natasha.
You too.
You think I don't appreciate beautiful things? 20,000.
Now hold on there. This is getting out of hand.
Let it go! Let it go!
I don't think we ought to sell any of these till we've had a chance to think things over.
The squirrel is right. We really should think things over.
We agree.
I bid 25,000.
30.
40. Well, that did it. Within hours, the news of an astounding new find in the art world flashed across the continent.
The most titillating new talent since Frank Giacomelli.
Looks like a moose, paints like an angel.
Collector's bid, Moose says nix.
Extreme! Moose starts art school! Well, Boris, you have done it again. You have made the moose famous.
But not for long.
Boris, you got a plan?
Of course. And who, boy, is it ever fiendish?
And so the next time Bullwinkle left the house, he was accosted by a strange little boy.
Please, Mr. Moose, could I having your autograph?
Of course, little feller.
Thanks, oodles.
Name is Bullwinkle. Sweet kid. Cute mustache, too. Mustache!
And that wasn't all, for Bullwinkle had just signed a will, leaving all of his paintings to Boris.
So when he dies,
Which could happen any minute now.
we get the old masters. Oh, that's my Boris.
Please, you're crushing my curls.
What title do I put on this one?
Call it Man Eating a Sandwich in a White Room.
Well, I see the white room, but where's the sandwich?
The man ate it.
Then where's the man?
Well, you don't expect him to hang around after he ate the sandwich, do you?
No.
That's the trouble. You people never understand us artists.
Bullwinkle, why don't you use your head?
Easier with a brush.
Meanwhile, the two villains had just planted several sticks of dynamite under the cottage and lit the fuse.
You sure there's enough there, Boris?
You know, baby, when this stuff goes off, all we got left is 1 pair antlers and 200 pounds of moose burger.
But, Boris, if we blow up moose, we blow up the paintings, too.
Good heavens!
Boris, you said heavens.
What can I do? They won't let me plug the competition.
Well, now what?
Easy. We just take the paintings before this stuff goes off. But we gotta be awful quick.
Dashing into the house, the pair quickly ran to Bullwinkle's studio.
Remember me, boys? Cerulean Blue, the world-famous art collector?
Sure. What can we do for you, Mr. Blue?
I've decided to raise my offer for the 10 paintings.
Swell.
I now offer $25,000 apiece.
Wowee, as they say in the comics.
Only one thing.
Yeah?
Could I take them outside and look at them in the light?
Why, of course. Which 10 paintings did you want?
Which 10?
Yeah, I just finished number 35. Composition with whipped cream and snowballs.
Yeah, but where's the first 10 you painted?
In the pile there somewhere.
Boris, the dynamite will blow up the old masters.
I know. Tell you what, I'll buy the whole bunch.
35 of them?
At 25 thou apiece?
Right. Only one thing. Let's take them outside and look at them in the light.
And within just a few seconds, everybody was outside the house with the paintings.
Phew, that was close. These old masters are worth millions.
Funny, I only count 34 paintings here.
What?
Boris, it's only one painting.
But that one might be the Mona Lisa. I'll get it.
Hokey smoke, what happened?
Maybe the pilot light went out on your stove, darling.
We don't have a pilot light.
No.
We don't have a stove either.
Well, there you see.
Not quite.
Mr. Blue, you all right?
Hey, I was wrong. There's 35 here after all.
Yeah, that's certainly a good joke on you.
And small wonder that Boris laughed, for somewhere in the pile of paintings he had bought were the 10 old masters worth millions of dollars.
And what's more, we're taking the next submarine back to Pennsylvania.
You don't mean... But you're the bad guy.
So?
Well, I'd have bet $1 million you wouldn't win.
Put up or shut up.
I'll shut up. But be with us for our next episode, Dollars to Donuts, or The Wonderful World of Cruller.
Hello, Culture Gang. Today's poem is that epic of time travel, Hickory Dickory Dock. You're sure you know your part now?
Sure.
Okay. Hickory Dickory Dock, the mouse ran up the clock. Very good. The clock struck 1, then down he run. Down he run. Hey, that's your cue.
No, the clock didn't strike 1.
I don't care, you're supposed to run down.
In my script, it's the clock that runs down.
You come on out of there, I'm coming in to get you.
Just try it.
Okay, of all the dag, flatted blags dagging. No!
There. You'll be all right in a week or so.
Why don't you pick on somebody your own size?
Now, just what caused the accident, Mr. Moose?
Well, obviously, it was Hickory Dickory. Doc?
Inspector Nathaniel Fenwick had decided that it was about time that his daughter had her coming-out party.
Oh, Father, really? With all the trimmings?
With all the trimmings, my dear.
Oh, joy.
Pardon me, sir, but isn't Nell a little old to be having a coming-out party?
Of course she's old. But as usual, Do-Right, you don't get the significance. Why, this isn't an ordinary coming-out party. It's a master plan to catch Snidely Whiplash.
I don't quite follow you, sir.
I'll put it another way, Dudley. What is it that Snidely wears that he is never without?
A leer, sir?
No, Dudley. His top hat and opera opera cape.
So?
Don't you realize, Dudley, that this is the image he's created? Without his top hat and cape, he's nothing. Look.
Funny, sir. I've seen that before.
Of course you have. This is a Bullwinkle hat. Can you imagine collecting mortgages in a Bullwinkle hat? Why, he'll be laughed out of every home.
But what's that got to do with Nell's coming out party?
Snidely owns an opera hat and cape, right?
Right.
Well, where in this awful wilderness can you attend a full-dress social function?
Well, there's that little theater group.
No place. That's why I'm having this grand social event. Snidely won't be able to resist it. He'll check his hat and cape at the door, and then we'll substitute this Bullwinkle hat for his opera hat.
An invitation, Homer. An engraved invitation to Nell Fenwick's coming out party.
But Snidely, that's at the RCMP camp.
Homer, I'd go to the ends of the earth to attend a social event of this prominence.
But don't it seem strange that a 37-and-a-half-year-old girl should be having a coming-out party?
With me top hat and cape, I'll be in the height of fashion. A party, whee!
Check your hat and cape, sir.
Certainly.
And while Snidely Whiplash was tripping the light fantastic, a Bullwinkle hat and large check coat was substituted for his top hat and cape.
Thank you, my dear. I don't know when I've had a better time. My hat and cape, please.
Here you are, sir.
No, this isn't my top hat and cape.
I'm sorry, but it's the only one that's left. It must be yours.
I'm telling you, it is not my hat and cape. You won't hear the last of it.
The next day, Snidely Whiplash went about the Canadian mountainside trying to collect mortgages.
Either pay me the money or out into the cold you go.
Look at that funny moose hat.
Now, please pay me the mortgage, please, will you?
Such a funny hat.
And so, Dudley, Snidely's having a terrible time collecting mortgages. They laugh him out of their homes. Without his hat and cape, he's nothing.
It certainly must be a powerful symbol. It is arch-villain Dudley Do-Right.
All right, Dudley, you've had your little joke. You can take off Snidely's hat.
And I've got you, Inspector Fenwick, in me clutches.
Where did I go wrong?
Snidely, there's a new arch-villain who has moved into the territory. He wears a top hat and a cape, and he has already tied 27 old ladies to the railroad tracks. He's going to beat your record.
Well, what do you expect me to do about it?
Aren't you going to pulverize him, Whiplash? I mean, 27 old ladies. He's cutting in on you a bit.
In a moose hat, he'd only laugh at me.
Can't you stop him?
There's only one way. There's only one man can stop him, and that man is Dudley Do-Right. And you've got to send Dudley Do-Right to stop this fiend, this arch-villain. As a taxpayer, I demand that you apprehend him.
Snidely, we can't send Dudley Do-Right to apprehend this arch-villain.
Why not?
Because that arch-villain is Dudley Do-Right.
Stalwart, true, eyes of blue, Dudley Do-Right?
The very same. He tried on your hat and cape and went berserk. He thinks he's you.
Oh!
Say, if he's masquerading as you, why don't you masquerade as him?
I never realized the truth in that old maxim, clothes make the man. Look at me, stalwart, true, eyes of blue. Arch-villain Dudley Do-Right, caught you at last.
You'll never take me alive, stalwart true with eyes of blue, Snidely Whiplash.
Good work, Snidely Whiplash.
Inspector, there's one favor now that I've captured arch-villain Dudley Do-Right that I would like to ask.
What's that, Whip?
Could I please have my top hat and cape back? For sentimental reasons.
Of course, dear boy.
Now I have you in me power.
Where did I go wrong?
Well, all's well that ends well, eh, Inspector?
Yes, but you know, Do-Right, while he was a Mountie, you could have learned something from that boy.
Well, Boris and Natasha had just bought 35 of Bullwinkle's whitewash paintings,
including the 10 with old masterpieces under the whitewash.
And now the villains are waiting for the next Pottsylvanian submarine to come up on the outskirts of Pigeon River.
There it is now, Boris.
That's one thing you can say about our fearless leader. He made the submarines run on time.
But Bullwinkle's brush and bucket was still busy night and day.
Oh, what is it, Bullwinkle?
That's obvious, Rock. It's Santa Claus arriving in a terrible blizzard.
I should have known.
Finally, even the Paris Museum, which had lost the 10 old masters, had to change its mind.
You mean we are going to replace them with modern paintings?
Marcel, we must move with the times.
Fui!
And besides, the moose gave them to us for nothing.
Ooh, they're beautiful. And so 10 of Bullwinkle's paintings were hung in the spots vacated by the stolen old masters. Meanwhile, many miles away in the grim little country of Pennsylvania...
Ah, it's good to breathe the air of Pennsylvania, Natasha.
That pungent odor.
Yes, they must be burning books in the public square again. But we digress. We got to sell this $1 million bunch of old masters.
Who to, Boris?
Natasha, there's only one man in Pennsylvania who has money.
You mean our fearless leader?
Yes, that greedy, money-grabbing, penny-pinching...
Go on, bad enough.
Thrifty, industrious, frugal, level-headed...
Enough!
Why, it's fearless leader!
Bad enough, you're a groveling bootlicker.
But I...
Fortunately for you, I like groveling bootlickers.
I'm glad.
What do you have there?
10 disguised old masters worth $2 million. But for you...
For me? Thank you, bad enough.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I get. Thank you.
Of course not. Thank you very much.
Oh, boy.
Now, what do you say?
You're welcome.
Not only that, but when fearless leader cleaned the whitewash off...
Schweinhund! These aren't old masters. These are plain canvas. Arrest him.
Darling, is there anything I can do?
Yes. Shut up, you mouth!
Meanwhile, back in Frostbite Falls...
But why didn't you give Mr. Blue the first 10 paintings?
Well, he was such a nice seller, I thought he'd like 10 brand new ones.
Well, what happened to the first one?
I gave them to that Paris museum.
And sure enough, when these paintings were cleaned...
Sacre bleu, the masterpieces are back again.
It's a wonder.
It's a miracle.
It's about time.
Well, it looked as if Bullwinkle really had it made as an artist until a terrible thing happened.
That's right, Mr. Moose. We're plumb out of whitewash.
Oh, dear. I need 4,000 gallons of it.
We'll have it in on Monday.
But that was too late, for over the weekend, another artist appeared on the scene to catch the eye of the art world.
This is Jackson Plop.
Yes, Jackson Plop, painted with a mixture of peplum and chicken gizzards.
Well, there's one thing I've got to say about this boy's work. It's got guts.
Gee, Rock, I can't sell a painting these days.
Yeah, and we're stuck with 4,000 gallons of whitewash. Wait a minute, where is all the whitewash?
I sold it.
Sold it? Who to?
To them fellers who investigate payola.
4,000 gallons of whitewash?
Believe me, to them, it's only a drop in the bucket.
And so we reach another happy ending where... Oh, now, wait a minute. This isn't a happy ending.
Sure it is. Look, I'm smiling.
Oh, good. Okay. Happy ending.